Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money. We're here to help you master your mindset and maximize money. I'm your host for today. I'm Jade. Hey, y'all. Hey. Today, we're discussing the trend of celebrities, including Black women, of course, turning to platforms like OnlyFans to due to financial pressure and societal expectations, right? I don't know if there's an expectation where a lot of women in Hollywood in particular feel that they have to show their body or go onto these sorts of platforms in order to generate income. But we're going to have that conversation. And specifically, we're talking about the decision of Camille Wimbush. I know folks, as y'all are coming in, may remember Camille Wimbush. She was a cute little girl on the Bernie Mac show, and I used to really love that show. And she joined OnlyFans. She made that decision to join OnlyFans, and it has sparked a lot of discussion on social media about the choices celebrities make to ensure their financial stability sometimes. And so we know that Hollywood is known for its instability and fluctuating nature and all of these things creating financial anxiety for many people. So we're going to have this conversation today with our queens, Miss Athena Gardner. She's a CPA and women's wealth coach. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey.
Hey. We also have Miss Tiara Williams. She's an actress, singer, and producer. Call her Miss Black Hollywood. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. That red is giving is just giving so much life to this panel. So yeah, we're having this conversation today, and you're tuned into Fly Nubian Money. We're here on weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to text the word Queens to the number 87948. That's 87948. That way you will be notified when we do go live, when we have special offers and things like that. So, ladies, let's just kick off this conversation. Camille Wimbush, beautiful Black sister. She's young. We saw her grow up literally in Hollywood. And she did an interview recently, and she talked about she made the decision to go to OnlyFans because she wasn't getting calls. She wasn't making a lot of money in Hollywood anymore. And we're going to take a listen to the video shortly. But I want to just sort of have a general opening question, a discussion about your thoughts on the influence of platforms like OnlyFans. Let's start with you, Athena.
Well, OnlyFans was originally created as almost like a Patreon. So when other creators could just come on, monetize their gifts and talents. Now, especially during the pandemic, OnlyFans took off because the sex industry kind of made headways with OnlyFans. So now people automatically assume if you're on OnlyFans that it's some kind of sexy, racy, nudity related thing, when really it's just for everyone. It's just that industry has really made a mark there. My opinion on OnlyFans is this. I personally would not be on there. But for some women or men to make a way in this economy, I understand life choices may cause you to go down that path. And also I want to also shout out to the other creators who are on there who are doing wholesome things like having cooking channels or spiritual channels or whatever they're doing. So in this scenario with Camille Wimbush, I want to talk about that in detail further. But I think initially when I saw the headlines, I was like, oh, girl. But after listening more to what she had to say and researching what she actually said, I'm fine with her being on there.
Thank you so much. So yeah, Tiara, I wanted to get your thoughts on OnlyFans. What do you think the impact is, the influence of these sorts of platforms that are highly sexualized? What do you think the impact is on like popular culture and the Black community in particular?
Well, that's a loaded question. I didn't hear about OnlyFans. I knew nothing about OnlyFans until I heard Beyonce mention it in a song, right? Like she said something like in demon time, I might start an OnlyFans. And I remember I was like, oh, well, what's that? Because it became so popular. People flooded to it. And I don't know if it was just because Beyonce said it, but I do remember that big how I found out about the platform. I've only associated that with sex workers. So, somebody asked me not too long ago if I would ever having OnlyFans? Probably not. And I would just say, just because what it kind of has come to represent, it wouldn't be a good look for me. You know, having a teenage daughter, I would never want her, even if it was for, I could host acting classes on there and I still wouldn't do it because what it has come to be associated with. You know, somebody's like, oh, your mom was on OnlyFans? You know, immediately somebody's gonna think, you know, I'm tooting and booting, and I don't want that. That's not what I'm looking for. So, you know, like Athena said, I think, you know, you got to do what you got to do, but I don't know if you got to do that. Like, just, you know, me working in Hollywood and me understanding the lay of the land. I've been here for almost almost 20 years of my life, and I've worked in this industry consistently, and I've never had to do anything provocative or sell my soul. I'm not saying that there wasn't opportunities to do so, but you know, you just be like, okay, I can't do this. You just gotta be. Well, we'll get to that, but for the most part, I just think that OnlyFans is not the only option.
Thank you so much for that insight, and especially for as coming from someone who's lived in Hollywood and worked in Hollywood, you know, for 20 years. I'm sure there's a lot of temptation and things out there and offers. If you're just tuning in, we are having this conversation. The Bernie Mac show star Camille Wimbush went viral over the last few days with an interview that she did, and she was talking about her decision to go onto OnlyFans, and it sparked a lot of controversy. We're going to go to that video and take a look at it. In the meantime, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We're here at Fly Nubian Queen TV's YouTube channel, weekdays live at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Oh, those Bernie Mac checks must have dried up, or like from a job 20 years ago when I was a 12-year-old. Yeah, like duh.
Because we think the residuals are still coming through though.
I mean, they do, but
it's not.
We weren't. I wasn't. Listen, if I was on Friends making $1 million an episode, yes, those residual checks would still be very nice. But as time goes on, they get smaller and smaller every year. You're not making the same amount that you were when the show was current per episode.
Right.
So as someone who was just a kid, don't get me wrong, still making good money. Mm-hmm. But 20 years later, those checks are not sustainable for a living. With the industry being as fickle as it is, you can't count on any job to last or even to book a job. So over the years, I have done regular 9-to-5s.
Oh, wow.
I owned an ice cream shop for 3 years when I was a teenager.
Wow.
And I funded that with my own money. I taught gymnastics to kids where I was making like $11, $12 an hour. So I've done that.
Wow.
But if I can find a way to make enough to buy a home from the comfort and safety of my own living room, why wouldn't I do that?
Shout out to her. Shout out to everyone in the chat who's just joined us. We just heard directly from Miss Camille Wimbush, and she was talking about her decision to join OnlyFans. As you all are coming into the chat, make sure you just let us know what city and state you're coming from. Okay, now, Athena, watching that video again just made me really, really sad because my mentor, one of my mentors, Dr. Boyce Watkins, started the Black Business School, and he teaches us, and I know you're a financial wellness, women's wellness coach, Athena, teaches us the importance of investing and creating Black millionaires of tomorrow, teaching our children how to save, how to invest, and to start businesses to secure their future. She admitted that she was making good money when the Bernie Mac show was on when she was 12 years old. That was a long time ago. So I can only imagine if a quarter of that money was invested 20 years ago so that she could have, I don't know, tripled it or made it, grow tenfold. what the impact of her life would be now. Like she wouldn't be forced to go onto OnlyFans and stuff. So I wanted to get your take on this from a financial and generational wealth perspective. When I just listened to her speak, it made me sad in particular because I was wondering if she had anyone around her that would really help her grow her money and coach her financially. What are your thoughts, Athena?
Well, my thoughts are this, and it's important that all of us have financial literacy. And even the other day, I was seeing how Yo Gotti didn't know he had to pay property taxes on his home, right? So celebrities are not immune to understanding finance and money. And also, I think it's important to point out that Camille was a childhood star, meaning that her parents were responsible and were probably fiduciaries of her money or what she was making at the time. So oftentimes, especially when we come into the limelight, your family history and what you were taught is what you do. Now, I commend her for actually taking some of that money and starting her own businesses. She said she funded an ice cream shop with her own money. She said she tried to teach gymnastics. Sometimes it takes a lot. There's a lot that comes with business acumen and actually making a successful business that create cash flow. I know Dr. Boyce teaches that a lot on the Black Business School. I know I teach that for women on my platform as well. So even though you may have the money, trying to take the money and turn it into something else is a whole separate skill. So she may have had issues with that. And a lot of us have issues with that. What I will say is this: you are correct, Jade, in that if she probably would have been take a quarter of that money, put it in, even in an index fund, and just let it sit and do what it was supposed to do, she probably could have been earning residuals. But according to what I've read online about her situation, if she has made $1 million off of OnlyFans, or she's making $50,000 a month off of OnlyFans, even then it might not have returned as much as she's making right now. So the OnlyFans thing is it's so enticing because of the earning potential that I can see how it can seduce someone into taking that option.
Thank you for that analysis, Athena. Tierra, for me, this raises a larger question, and I would love for you to speak to this as a parent and as someone who's in the industry in Hollywood. This raises a lot of questions for me and anxiety as an educator about the adultification of children in Hollywood. Was she put in a position to be an adult, and was she expected to know how to do these things and to take on that role as a provider for her family? I wanted to get your perspective on that angle of this conversation.
I'm not sure if she had to you know if she had to provide for her family. But I know, just as having a daughter who is also in the industry, my daughter is 13 years old, and she's worked on shows like Abbott Elementary and just all of these different things. And I know that her dad had to take and invested a very, like, it's an effort to, take them to auditions, take her to auditions, take her and coach her. And we're doing that together, but it's a process. And so if he's taking her to set and staying on set with her for 8 to 12 hours, that doesn't allow him to work, right? So if he's working as her manager, it kind of puts him in a situation where he has to take a piece of that to just a piece of it to pay for whatever, or so I think families like that find themselves having to, as much energy that they're investing into their children, they kind of have to. It's a family business. The kid is a family business. Now, my daughter is not 100% working as an actress, right? So we're not forcing her to be a child star. We don't. That's not, because a lot of that is them losing a lot of their days. I remember she booked a show, and for the whole summer she worked on this show, and she was just like, I want to go outside. Kids there all day, they ran around, they had fun, but there was a part of her like, I just want to enjoy the summer. I was like, yeah, she should be able to enjoy the summer. I understand that she has checks coming in. So when she was done with that, we nested that. There was a time when my daughter had like $15,000 in her account, and we just nested it, and we started a savings for her, and we got her a vending machine, and Just little things that we've started to do for her, but not taking any of her money, right? Like not us taking money, but sometimes using that to reinvest into acting classes and stuff like that. So I'm not sure. So that's my perspective on that. When it comes to Camille, I'm not sure what their family dynamic was, but I know that having even watched parents, I met Marseille and her mother Carol in IKEA once, like years ago. And often my daughter has glasses kind of like Marseille, and they kind of look alike. They get that all the time. Like people will bring her in because people say, "Oh, she kind of looks like Marseille." And so after that I was able to kind of like not befriend them, they're not my friends, but like I see them on Facebook, and I'm watching how they've made that into a family business. Her mother is with her 24/7. They are flying from here to there, to fittings, to this, to that, and that and I they started a production company. So like Marseille is working, but like you really see a lot of her mother's life being poured into, and I'm sure that was the plan, right, when they moved from Texas. But a lot of her life is poured into Marseille's life, so they have to benefit, they have to make money, from being their manager. So that's those are my initial thoughts. It's a lot of work. I mean, when I watch them, it's just like, wow, I'm tired and I'm just watching.
Yeah, I can only imagine
Yeah.
what that's like for children to be childhood stars and actors and actresses, and to have that level of responsibility, and also to be able to make that amount of money.
Yeah.
So what I thought about was definitely the adultification piece. We want to protect our children even when they are in entertainment, to make sure that they are not growing up or taking on too much responsibility than they should as young people, as children. So that was something that struck me. And definitely, Athena, the financial literacy piece, the investing piece, the piece where we say, hey, let's get my child all of the available resources possible so that they can invest their money, have more than one business, and be set up for the future. So in watching that clip, I felt so many things. I was thinking about those larger issues more than her decision to go on OnlyFans and model or not. Now, I am not on OnlyFans. I've never seen an OnlyFans, just so y'all know. So I don't need people in the chat. Just in case anybody wanted to try it today to ask, if I was on OnlyFans. I don't have one. However, if that's what people choose to do, that's what they do. I know that there are so many other options out there for our people, for Black women, Black girls in particular. We don't have to resort to that. So I would love for us to continue on this conversation, speaking to larger issues about pay disparities in Hollywood in particular. So
Ooh,
we know
child.
that, yeah, Black China has reportedly made nearly $250,000 on OnlyFans, but there are other
quarter
people that have made
billion,
how
a quarter
much?
$250 million, almost nearly a
Quarter
quarter
billion dollars. Yes, on
billion with a
OnlyFans
B.
with a B.
With a B.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the M. There's a B. $250 million.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So that
Hmm.
should be $360
Oh,
billion
over.
on
No, no,
OnlyFans
no,
account.
no, no. She's $250 million.
Oh,
So
quarter
she's
million.
right
Okay. I was like,
over.
wait,
It's right.
quarter trillion? Okay, got you. So
No,
yeah, but still,
that's right.
like, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of
And
money.
Black China is now acting. I know she's doing some things. I think I've seen her in a show on BET Plus that my mom watched. My mom watches all of those shows. But so many other actresses have sounded the alarm about pay disparities in the entertainment industry. Tierra, we've heard from Monique. We've heard from Taraji P. Henson. Taraji was very, very vulnerable and very, very
Mhm.
authentic about her experience. And she got ran down, essentially. People were literally like trying to drag her, Athena, on social media for saying, like, hey, there are pay disparities within Hollywood for Black actors and Black actresses. I have been snubbed.
Yeah.
And I know that Gabrielle Union, we have a clip we can show of Gabrielle Union talking about the financial anxiety she feels even when she does well. She'll do a film that does well, but then the waiting period, not knowing if she's going to be booked again, like that's a thing, Tierra. So can you
It's
tell
a
us a little bit more
thing.
about that? And then Athena, I would love for you to weigh in after Tierra.
Yes. I wish I had the SAG AFTRA a stat. I don't have it in front of me, and I'm sorry, but like I remember seeing that it was like um actors worked maybe like an average of like 3 jobs in a span of like 5 to 8 years or something like that, right? And that's just like, everybody is not in that top 1%, right? It's like that 1%, and then 99% of other people are just trying to figure out how to pay their bills. I know Billy Porter, a couple months after our strike last year, went into foreclosure on his home, and he was like, we're very much living, and I mean, he's on TV, he's on red carpets, he's all over the place. But I think he said something in his interview like, you know, if you don't have FU money, you're very much living from check to check. So like you're only 1 to 2 months away from financial ruin, and then in terms of like not knowing, you can have a show on television and running on television and not have no money, right? And like Camille was saying, her show probably still runs, but she doesn't get those residuals, don't look the same. And so I mean, I don't know what her residual checks, I don't know what her deal looks like, I have no idea. But it might be a little pocket change, it might pay the rent, maybe. I mean, it's inflation, it's all the things. So she might not be able to, but it's very hard to live in California. If you think about like, I mean, you can get a house for $1 million if you got $1 million laying around, and that's just like it's just a very expensive place on top of all of the other things that you have to worry about. And so, like I was saying, it's very fickle here. You can audition and hear no all day long, right? And when you do book, it might be a $10,000 check. It might be a $20,000 check. When I sold a screenplay, I got a huge check from Universal, and then I didn't work for 2 years after that. Like, so it was like me having to nest that and get really creative about. Thank God I have an acumen for business, because I understand that, and I learned this a long time ago, that you have to be really creative about it really can't be just one source of income and rely on just being an actor. Only 1% of Hollywood can do that. Otherwise, you got to have other hustles. Like she said, she had an ice cream parlor and a shop and all of these things, and that's kind of what you have to do here. Like there's people juggling all balls, and I'm gonna share a story, but it kind of gives you a perspective. When I first moved to LA, I got on a shuttle, and there was a guy, and I always think about this because I was like, I never want to be that. So I got on the shuttle. He was like, "What you do?" I said, "Oh, I'm an actress." He was like, "Oh, me too." Right as he's driving our bus, he pulls out this business card and hands it to me, and on there he's like posed like this, kind of like with his chest out. He kind of, what I'm saying, and it said actor, model, writer, producer, driver, like exotic dancer. I do kids' birthdays. Like it was like 12 things. And I thought that was the funniest thing. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna keep this forever. But he was giving me the game when I first was like, there's a part of that is really real. There was like 10 hyphens on there. But that's a real thing here. And I didn't learn that. Thank God I didn't have to do all of the things, but I did come here as an actress and a singer. And I was so graciously I was gratefully on a show, and Blair Underwood was like, listen, you gotta learn how to produce, you gotta learn how to act. You gotta learn how to do more than act, you gotta learn how to produce and direct, and you know how to write. All right. I was like, okay. So I went and worked on I worked as a producer, and then I got really hunkered down into directing and writing. It's a real thing, right? And so you just kind of have to be fluid in the way that you earn money. And that was a really long-winded, but I just wanted to share that and give you a real thing, a real glimpse. Because you can go in and audition all day, but you might not book. You hear no so often here, and what I hear in Camille's voice is like frustration. Like, I've been you can't you're going out, and even though I've been on television, people are saying no. People are saying no. There's not Hollywood is structured differently. People are working a lot less. The business is still not the same since we were striking last year. It's not up. It's not up and running. AI is, people are not being paid well. It's all of the things, y'all. You have to, at this point, want to be an artist. You have to really want to work in Hollywood to work in Hollywood. You know what I mean? You have to really like go through a lot of things that kind of are soul crushing, if that makes sense. Like, you know, you have to, I don't know, another occupation where you can pour 20 years of your life into something and still not make it.
Wow.
Does that make sense? So
Yes.
anyway, I could go on and on. So I'm gonna shut up.
No, that was very insightful. And if you all are just tuning in, we are talking about the actress Camille Wimbush. She went viral this week for an interview she did talking about her decision to go onto OnlyFans. So this is the topic of conversation, and we're speaking largely about societal pressures for Black actors and actresses, but particular Black women actresses, and pay insecurity, financial anxiety, and societal expectations for women, especially to go onto platforms such as OnlyFans that, in my opinion, are very, very sexually exploitative. But hey, that's just my personal opinion. Anyway, Tiara, thank you for sharing your insight about Hollywood and the difficulties in Hollywood. Athena, my question is, I see actors and actresses on magazine covers, on interviews on television. They be on the red carpets in red bottoms. They're wearing Valentino. They're wearing all types of designers that I can't even pronounce. It still baffles me that, you know, folks have these high quality lifestyles, and I'm thinking that they're living millionaire and billionaire lifestyles. Can you speak to the point that Tiara made about, like, you can be on television and have a show and still be broke or living month to month and check to check? But Athena, how is that possible when I'm seeing folks decked out and all of these designers living this like lavish lifestyle? Please help me understand.
Listen, it is very easy to do that. We live in a society where image is so important. So as long as you look the part, you can kind of project an image that may not be real. So you could look like you have on the Gucci designer and your fridge has no food. So similar to what Tiara was saying about Billy Porter, how he's on these carpets and in these designers and he had to floor clothes on his home. Financial realities are just that. 70% of us don't have $5,000 in our bank account. More than 50% of us are in debt. Okay, so there's a lot of only 6% of Black adults in the US make 100K or more. You know, the stats paint a different picture. And that's why I love numbers so much, because numbers tell the truth. Numbers tell the truth of what is going on. As far as celebrities is concerned, right? A lot of what you're seeing also there is not real. They have teams curating looks for them. Their clothes are getting on loan by designers so they can take that image and promote that, the latest fashion, so they can get their cut from that. The jewelry is also on loan. So a lot of, it's a business. It's a business to curate an image so consumers like you and me buy into that and buy the product. Right? La Roche, who is a wonderful style architect and stylist, was recently doing an interview around Zendaya, which he mentioned that he actually buys the clothes, and the interviewer was shocked because most people don't buy the clothes. They get the clothes on loan. So a lot of what you're seeing is not real. And also, to talk about the topic of actresses and celebrities, Taraji was saying that she couldn't even get transportation, or that she had to fight for transportation. She had to fight for certain things. Her trailer was not the best. And you would think, especially even at Taraji's level, that wouldn't even be a question. That wouldn't be a question. So I think in the year of 2024, What Cat Williams said, everyone will be exposed, honey. The lid is coming off the pot. Okay, we're seeing behind the curtain, behind the veil. We're seeing everybody's skeletons all over. And I think this industry is showing us that entertainment is not what you think it is. How many rappers fall dead, have no life insurance policy, and all their little baby mama or whoever is left out to dry? You know, these are realities that we as an audience and Gen Pop need to look at and say, okay, how do we in our lives put ourselves in position so we do not fall into this trap? Because clearly the celebrities are now saying that we were paid puppets to entice you to consume and entice you to buy into these businesses.
Thank you for that point, Athena. So basically, they just renting the runway. Okay, got you. Okay, or they're like brand ambassadors to a degree. Tiara, did you want to, from your experience? Okay, you want to add anything? Okay, so also to your point, Athena, I saw. Did y'all see Krishan Rock? I think I'm pronouncing her name properly. She went to her baby father's. I forget his name. Who's the baby father's name? What's his name?
Blueface.
Blueface
went to his hearing and got arrested.
Went to his hearing, got arrested because she had a warrant from another state or something like that. So now she's arrested. Her sister allegedly is on social media asking the public to raise funds for her to get an attorney. And it said that she doesn't have toothpaste. She's being horribly mistreated and she needs representation. That's not something that I would expect from a social media star, celebrity. I don't know if she's a rapper or a singer, but I know she's pretty popular. And you made a comment just now, Athena, that I wanted to circle back to. You said that, you know, a lot of guys in Hollywood are having children and leaving their baby mothers out to dry. So that came to mind when you said that. Also makes me very, very sad. If y'all are tuning in, we are having an intelligible conversation about OnlyFans. Shout out to some of y'all in the chat that might have some OnlyFans. I don't know if y'all be on there twerking or showing your feet or whatever, but hey, it happens. Shout out to everyone in the chat who also put their city and state in there. We see you. We appreciate y'all tuning in. This is Fly Nubian Money, where we have intelligible conversations about all things money. Make sure you visit our website, flynubianmoney.com, and come over to listen to these panels live right here, weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time at flynubianqueentv.com's YouTube channel. And also, yes, make sure you text the word Queens, QUEENS, to the number 87948. That's 87948 when we go live and we have spicy conversations such as this one about OnlyFans and stuff. So anywho, we're also talking about pay disparities within Hollywood, within the Black sector of Hollywood. We have a video that we're going to show and we're going to discuss. It's of Gabrielle Union talking about her financial anxiety as an accomplished Black actress in the industry. Take a listen.
And with a generation-defining hit under her belt, Gabrielle embarked on a career that would see her embracing a variety of roles and solidifying her place as the people's champ. She would also meet her future husband and fellow Renaissance human, Dwayne Wade, and begin crafting a personal brand. But the persistent racism and sexism in Hollywood would present ongoing challenges, even as her professional and personal lives continued to thrive.
I struggle with that still, just because I think I just have more responsibilities, you know, for my money. So I get nervous, like, oh God, that movie didn't open, you know, well, what does that mean? Am I gonna have enough to hold everybody up? And everyone's like, it's coming, like, calm down. And I'm trying to find peace in the journey, not using my anxiety and scarcity mindset to be my engine, which is hard. It's weird to say I'm head of household because in this household, we split everything 50-50. But in the other households that each of us have to support, it puts this, there's always this like gorilla on your back that it is like, you better work, you better work. You know, you gonna sleep in? You know, somebody might not eat. Come on, you gotta work. And it's hard. It's hard to let that go. So I'm working on that. even now, from then to now, from 95, late 95 to 2023, I've never been anybody's first choice. Not Black folks, not white folks. But by hook or by crook, I get a job, right? And then that movie does really well. And what they tell you is if you're a part of a movie and your character pops, then that leads to the next thing. But I really realized after Bad Boys 2 and Bring It On that how I am received by real life people is not reflected how I'm treated in Hollywood. They're completely different. But before social media, I had no way of really knowing that or quantifying that. So, because they tell you, if you succeed, then these are the roles that open up. So I'm succeeding and the door is bolted shut. And the people who are jumping the line seem to be folks that make white people in charge very comfortable. But what it did, like the social media era, me, Taraji, Nia, Sanaa, Tracy, it allowed our real world popularity to be quantified to where it was undeniable.
Okay. I heard what she said, Tiara, but it's, as someone who just watches entertainment, it's really difficult for me personally to connect to what she's saying because my perception of Gabrielle Union is so different than her actual experience that she's articulating. And I understand, I respect her experience. I appreciate her sharing that. But when I'm seeing Gabrielle Union, like, oh my gosh, it's Gabrielle Union. She's all over the place. Like, what is she talking about? Can you give some insight or like maybe a bit more of an explanation from your experience in terms of the culture in Hollywood, in terms of what actors and actresses go through and how they're treated versus how they're perceived by people like me who are just clueless?
Yeah, I think, and I mean, you're not the only one. I think you can look at someone and just assume that because they have a name and a status, that they can walk through any door that they want to, that they can get into rooms. There's still rooms that Gabrielle wants to get into in terms of films she wants to audition for. There's still roles. Sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, Gabrielle does the same kind of movies." Right? She's kind of like but she is I'm sure that in her fantasy, maybe there's things that she wants to do that allow her to stretch, that allow you to see her beyond Bring It On, and the beautiful lead actress that is in a romantic comedy. Maybe she wants to play a homeless crackhead. I don't know what the level of where she wanted to go or where she wants to go. But race plays a part. Her being a woman plays a part. Her being a Black woman plays a part. It just is. It's a tough business that has a lot of politics involved, and there's you know if I'm being honest, like, people that don't look like us run this industry. And so with that being said, there's you have to kind of bow and fold and move to that if you want to see those heights that you want to see. And sometimes you can move and like do all that and sell yourself, or you can mold yourself and still end up in the middle. We used to always say, like, you date a man and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a relationship with this director and he's gonna do things for my career. I definitely have heard that when I was like actively like pursuing my in my 20s. It was like that was the thing. Like, people used to be like, I mean, yeah, I cast you. I go in, I audition. I'm talking about work on all of the things, work on the script. You go in, you audition, and you kill it, right? And then maybe like 20, 30 minutes after you do all of that, the director calls you and says, now that we got that out the way, what's up? What's up? Like, what's up? Oh, are you gonna send the screenplay? Like, is that what you're saying? Like, what's the what? Like, what do you? I already gave you what's up. So it's just like just having to deal with all of that all of the things, all of the doors. And then, you know, there's also this thing where you go into you Hollywood is the only other place that I know where you can be too young, you can be too old, you can, you know, by 30 they're like, if you haven't made it, that means that you're never gonna make it. If you know, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too dark, you're too light, you're not this, you're that, you know, you're constantly being told what you are not. And so I think social media does add an interesting element where you're able to monetize. You're able to create your own brands and literally go directly to the people that consume you, the people that love you. You can find your tribe, you can find your fans, and really create products around that, you know, and create things around that. And seeing that popularity can, you know, now catapult you. But now she's like producing films, and she's, you know, I think she's, you know, she's doing her thing. And I'm sure there's some things that she still wants to do, and hopefully she's able to do that, you know, and that anxiety, it goes away. I don't know if it'll ever go away though, because of just the nature of this beast.
Yeah, thank you for that insight. That makes a lot of sense. That gives me a lot more clarity. Thank you. And you just described a really, really unstable environment in Hollywood, Tara. So my question to you, Athena, is given the unstable nature of Hollywood, how can celebrities, in your opinion, diversify their income stream so they can reduce the financial anxiety and then also have options and not have to be on OnlyFans?
Well, Athena, not just celebrities. Let us all know, baby.
Yes.
Because there's another 99% of us that want to know.
Well, I think you touched on it earlier, Tiara, that, you know, you realized that you had to add more hyphens. You had to add more skills. You had to add more income and revenue streams. So that is what I recommend that everyone, whether or not these celebrities do anything, everyone to do, to monetize your gifts, monetize your talents, and really to create stability in multiple forms. And that will also provide you more financial protection. In the stock market, they always say diversify your portfolio, diversify this. Diversity is going to be the key here, because even as times are changing, I do a lot with AI. AI is changing the game. So if you are relying on one source of income, especially as a single person, because that's a whole other thing. Like, I do a workshop that talks about women at different stages and the financial vulnerability single women face, because if they're out the game and they're sick, that's it. Like, there's no other income coming in. So diversify your income and support your wealth streams in that way. I would also say this. What made me cringe a little bit when I was watching Gabrielle Union was the fact that she does have a husband of high net worth that makes more money than her, that she doesn't feel comfortable in an arrangement for him to fully provide in that way, even if within their own household. So say even if she supports other family members with her own funds, but girl, to do 50-50 when you have a man that can pay that bill, to calm down this financial stress that for these acting jobs, like I question why that isn't in her.
Let me just drink my cold coffee while you continue to extrapolate.
Yeah, because
as Tiara continues to make faces, just go ahead and continue.
Yes, because I know a lot of she went on the fire. A lot of people scrutinized because he had said a comment that, you know, this is my house, and she was like, you'll never be able to say that to me again. So that's why she split the 50-50. Listen, take the stress. If he want to have the ego boost to say it's his house, all right. As long as you still have your own money, you stashing away, that would be my advice on that.
I think
what this also highlights.
Okay. I have a question for you. After you finish, but go ahead.
Okay. What this also highlights to me, and I think we discussed this, I definitely discussed this, but I know Dr. Boyce and the Black Business School discussed this as well. Ownership is a conversation, like Rick Ross said. Ownership is really important. Why is it important in this situation? Like you said, Tiara, Hollywood is owned by people that do not look like us. Let's keep it 100%. Let's keep it a buck. Since we do not have our own platforms, our own avenues, we have to succumb to the judgments and prejudices of people who do not look like us, whether that's in Hollywood or whether that's just everybody on the corporate plantation, honey, right? Because what is a stat? Black women make on average 60 cents to a white man's dollar. So until we go through the journey of building and establish our own business and entrepreneurship, which is hard, by the way, this is a hard task to do, right? But unfortunately, since we don't have different infrastructure that we own in these different industries, we have to succumb to the pressures of those industries. Okay. I think it was Viola Davis who said they were calling her the Black Meryl Streep. And she said, how come I ain't making Meryl Streep money?
That's right.
Okay. But what Viola did, which is diversify her income stream, she's like, you know what? I'm going to do my own production company.
That's right.
With my husband. I'm gonna come up with the Woman King. And I'm going to shop it to Netflix and shop it to these other platforms and make my money that way.
That's right.
So I think that is super, super important that we all do. Because guess what? Just like Fat Joe said, yesterday's price is not today's price. Yesterday's money is not today's money. The inflation is inflationing. And I think the celebrities are also taking note of that, because Taraji came out with her own mental podcast and her own hair care line, product, skin line.
Yeah.
Tracy Ellis Ross came out with Pattern Beauty. Like, I think all these, Gabrielle Union does all these different deals. I know she was doing fitness and all this other stuff. I think, especially in Hollywood, but for all of us included, they know that they need to monopolize on that celebrity.
Yes.
And to come up with a product line in order to smooth out and decrease the financial stress that Gabrielle was discussing.
Yes. Can I also just add that I think there's this really weird thing with family and friends that look at someone. It's, if you see one of your family and friends and they work at, I don't know, they work a 9 to 5, you don't go to them and say, I need you to take care of me. But you see someone working on television, and because the checks are a little bigger and they don't understand that those checks are supposed to last you, right? And they're still expecting you to take care of them. And Gabrielle has, she has like and this is not a negative thing, but she has a masculine energy about her, that masculine energy where it's like, I'm an independent woman. I've had to take care of myself. This industry will bring that out of you, right? Where you're like, I got to figure it out. Like she said, I got to figure it out. I got to work. What, you going to sleep today? Like, I think we all wake up like that. Like, I could rest in, but I got to get it. I got to figure it out. So I just think it's unfair. And maybe you can speak to this, Athena. It's like why people feel like they should be able to just like live off someone else. Like, I see if she like bought her mama a house. Okay, cool. But like everybody else would have to, they'd have to figure it out. Because we all got to figure it out. Like, why do I have to take care of people outside of my home? I don't understand.
Listen, family members will keep you broke. I'm Caribbean, right? I'm Caribbean, and my immediate family does not do this, but I've had extended family ask me to send things and send me money, and they just think that because you're in a better financial position that you should be doing that out of obligation as family, but also that you have the resources to do it. But they don't understand sometimes with more money comes more expenses, meaning that if you see this nice house have a bill attached to it, and but Jay-Z said that you cannot help the poor and be one of them.
That's right.
So I think that is a huge issue within our community. I think they call it the black tax. The black tax, when the person who ascends, who goes to college or wherever, have a business and becomes successful, now all the other family members look to this one person to financially lift them up. And I remember my dad telling me something like this. He was saying that, Athena, these are grown adult people. These are not children.
Yes.
So you putting money over there is like taking money and throwing out the window. They're not going to change. They're not going to elevate. It's just going to be a one direction. And I think that is something within the Black community we have to deal with. I think Trevor Noah also talked about how his mother never did that and gave him the grace of that to avoid the black tax is what they call that. There's a pink tax for women too now. That's a whole separate other tax, right? Because the pink tax is for similar products that men have. We are charged more. So like razors and certain things, like the same kind of product, it's more pricey because women are most of the spenders, have most of the purchasing power in the household, and we consume mostly. So that's the other tax we have to pay. So black women have the black and the pink tax.
Which means anxiety.
Yes, a lot of financial anxiety, right?
2 in 5 women experience financial stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, women aren't the only ones on OnlyFans. Did y'all know, Tyga, DJ Khaled, what is Fat Joe doing on OnlyFans? Michael B. Jordan. Oh, for real? He on OnlyFans? I might have to get an account. Michael B. Jordan's on OnlyFans. Okay. Well, we see the rapper Casanova also on OnlyFans. What are these men be doing on there?
Showing that thing. They be showing that thing, y'all. That's what they be doing on there.
Lord have mercy. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Camille Wimbush is $4 million richer than Dee Dee Davis.
Isn't Dee Dee also on OnlyFans? Or no?
No, the other person that did porno was Rudy, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Rudy from the Cosby Show. I know she.
No.
Didn't she do porno?
No. It's the girl that you're looking at.
Yeah, I think it was Dee Dee.
It's Dee Dee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
Baby girl from the Bernie Mac show.
Rudy still be working on TV, girl.
Wait,
don't do that to Rudy.
Oh, okay, my bad. I thought Rudy, somebody did some porno. I'm gonna look it up because it was
she didn't do porno.
She didn't? Okay, my bad.
No.
Oops. Okay. Correction, delete, cancel. However, there's a lot of people showing a lot of stuff on the internet, basically, is a thing. But when they show these things on the internet, they're making a bunch of money. Bad Baby. Wow. Is that it? Right, girl? Yeah. 59 million. Am I reading this right?
Yes, you are reading it right.
Black China, she's from DC. Millions. We talked about her. Cardi B, 46 million. Oh my gosh, I know that girl. What's that girl name? Suki Hana is on OnlyFans. All of these people are on there, and they are making a lot of money.
They be showing too much. Can I get on OnlyFans and show my toes?
So let me say, are they doing like? Is it like pornographic stuff, or is it just like peep show stuff?
They showing that thing. You cannot get on OnlyFans and just be like, teasing, like, I'm gonna show you a strap of my bra and make $59 million. You can't do it. It's not a real thing.
This is crazy.
It's like, you want to see my arm?
Like, that's what Camille Wimbush is saying. She says she's just wearing lingerie. She's wearing stuff that she would wear on like a women's magazine, like a what kind of women's magazine?
Who said that?
Camille Wimbush. That's what she was saying. She's like, she's covered up. She's like slightly like lingerie, stuff like that. Her parts are covered, because her criticism was, why is it such an issue she does it on OnlyFans when actors and actresses insinuate and stimulate sexual and nude scenes in movies? She was like, what's the difference?
That's true. I thought she was popping that thing. Listen, I've never been to her page. I don't think I'm going to get on OnlyFans to see what she's doing. I mean, I just, like you said, there's an assumption that, like, if you're making that much money, then you must be doing something risque to do it.
Oh my goodness, y'all. What do y'all think in the chat? If you're just tuning in, we are having this risque. I guess I should just use that word again. You just heard it. We're having a risque conversation about OnlyFans. We're having this conversation because Bernie Mac star Camille Wimbush, who is absolutely gorgeous and extremely talented, grew up as a child actor on the Bernie Mac show, went viral this week saying that she was explaining like, hey, like those Hollywood checks from my childhood and dried up. So I'm gonna go over ahead to this platform and I'm making money. And then she explained her reasons, her business, her financial reasons behind it. So we've covered this conversation here today on our Fly Nubian Money panel, and we've discussed the financial aspects of it, the educational or financial literacy aspects. We've talked about the generational wealth aspect. We talked about the female empowerment aspect of this conversation as well. And then we also had Tiara, who has lived in Hollywood for over 20 years and definitely does work in the industry, has a daughter in the industry, in the acting industry, discuss what it's really like with these closed doors and kind of coming up against brick walls. So this has been really, really informative. I know I've learned a lot because I just really didn't know that people were making this amount of money on OnlyFans. But as we close out, I want to have a conversation about, ladies, the glamorization of sex work. Is this something constructive that is needed in our community or in society in general? And what are your thoughts on that? I know that while I was living in New York, there was a whole movement, and the movement has caught on nationally to have rights and work like unions for men and women who are sex workers. And so it's a whole industry. I know when I was growing up and when our parents were growing up, it was basically seen as prostitution. It wasn't acceptable. But do we feel like platforms such as OnlyFans glamorizes sex work? And what do you think the impact is on the Black community, specifically our children? Because kids be looking at this stuff.
For sure. Do you want to answer that first, Athena?
Sure, I'll answer. So
Okay.
yeah, so I think that OnlyFans could be glamorizing sex work. I think sex work has a lot of dangers. I have watched a lot of documentaries and I've actually talked to women who engage in such activities, and it's very dangerous. You are risking your life. You're risking your body to disease. You're risking this person wanting to kill you after. You're risking this person threatening your life and because you ask them to pay what their agreed upon price or whatever it is, right? So I have a lot of compassion for women in that situation. I never used to, but I found that they usually get into those things because they have no financial support, no family support, really, really broken homes, really, really bad situations, and they're just in a state of survival and risk their lives with strangers. Like, I couldn't even imagine. I don't even want to do anything with anybody when I'm tired, much less having to be forced to do anything to eat or like with someone I would even consider attractive. OnlyFans, I think this touches on something Camille said, because she said if she can do it from the comfort and safety of her home, why not? So I think it has opened the door to provide and commercialize sex work in a way where they don't have to take on that much risk. But I think in general, within the state of this society, especially here in America, we need to figure out what we're going to do as far as the sex industry is concerned. It doesn't seem, I mean, that industry has been the oldest industry in time. It doesn't seem like it's going to go away. And it's a product that sells itself. And it wouldn't be around if people weren't interested in engaging in it. So we need to have some kind of legislation around safety around it, but also the legality of it, because it's a thin line. Because one person can do porn, but another person can't do, we need to look at ourselves as a society as we're judging people, because we basically support and financially back those activities. Not saying me, but I'm just saying, like, as a general public.
I know that Pornhub is, if not the second, it's the third most visited site in the world, right? So we know that people are interested in it. There's just, there's men watch porn, women watch porn. The dangers is, like you said, Athena, it's not really regulated in a way, right? If you're on Pornhub, most people like then connect their OnlyFans to that. And then there's like, if you want to subscribe, it's a thing. I'm big on documentary. I love documentaries. I make documentaries. And I've just been looking at like lately I've been watching a lot of like BBL stuff, and black women or women talking about why they're getting their bodies done, particularly in our community, because there's been a I want to say there was like a 30% spike in the last like 5 years, right? Where, now yesterday I just watched something and a girl was just talking about like all of her friends had BBLs. Like I was in Pittsburgh last week talking to my cousin. She was like, all of my friends have BBLs, right? Obviously I'm walking, I'm in the place where I feel like it all started, where, at first you would be like, dang, I wonder how Cher stays so young. You didn't think that people would go and get like an afternoon like tip tuck and then go back to work. Like you didn't think, it wasn't so accessible to us. But I guess my point is, and all of them saying is like there are repercussions of like women want to get BBLs and do those things so they can make the fast money, right? It's not like Camille wasn't making money. She was making money like teaching dance and doing ice cream or whatever. It just wasn't giving her Hollywood money. It wasn't giving her the fast money that comes along with like an OnlyFans. $360 million from Black China on OnlyFans over a course of a couple years is fast money. Like you can't argue with that. A 9 to 5 can't give that to you. And so there's a part of me, and I know you were saying that there are women that are, I mean, now I'm seeing professionals. I'm watching documentaries with professional women who are lawyers that do, OnlyFans at night. They're like, man, I'm making more during the, at night than like, why am I going to the firm during the day? So professional women are now even seeing like, I'm making more money in a couple months than I would make in a year at my firm, So it's not just women who are broken and have gone through trauma. Professional women are now looking towards platforms like these. And so I just think it's interesting. I think when I think about stuff like this, it's like, would I want my daughter to know I had an OnlyFans? Would I want my family, would that make me feel like um I sold myself out, like Suki says, like I was selling coochie. Like to me, in my mind, that's like selling coochie. I don't know. So I just can't be in the same place as a Suki Hana or like a Sexy Red. Like I can't. I'm not that. I went to school. I'm a respectable woman. I can't do that. So that's the way I feel about it. You know.
Agreed. Listen, what I will say is adults can do whatever they do in America as long as it's not hurting anybody. And these platforms definitely do need to be regulated, and because we need to make sure children do not have access to this stuff. I am a strong advocate of censorship for children in social media. Definitely Pornhub needs to be regulated. I know there's some legislation on the books. I believe it's in the state of Florida, one of the southern states that, was it Texas? I believe it could be Texas. I think it's Texas that literally banned OnlyFans from there. And I saw another country, I believe it was Italy, country in Europe, I believe it was Italy. Y'all can look this up. That is also blocking and banning OnlyFans. And fun sex fact, because I guess we just talking about risque stuff as we wrap this panel up. Shout out to y'all. And then if I knew their money is happy over here, apparently.
Bow, 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 bow,
Bow, bow, bow, bow.
So did y'all understand, that Elon Musk has these satellites over the planet, and he gave a country, a remote tribe in a remote part of the world, in a very indigenous population, they got the internet for the first time. And now they are literally addicted to pornography. And there's interviews about it. You heard about that, Tiara?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then I read a whole bunch of stuff because, I'm a Black revolutionary for real, about pornography as a weapon of psychological warfare. So, and how, governments and operations definitely use pornographic images, pornography, porn addiction, sex addiction, etc., in order to destabilize populations. And so we want to have a whole conspiracy theory talk later on about these issues. We can definitely do that. That's why y'all need to text the word Queens to the number 87948 so you can be notified when we do talk about stuff that you're interested in right here at Fly Nubian Money, weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time at Fly Nubian Queen TV's network's YouTube channel. So we're going to go around and just give some final words, big takeaways. I want to shout out the chat. Shout out you ladies for joining today. Would love to hear your final thoughts as well as where we can follow you. Let's start with Miss Tiara.
Yeah, I was looking at the chat and Primo Supreme says I need a sinus surgery. I am sick. I came on. I am sick. I am being nursed back to health.
And
I
we're
am
glad
being
that
nursed
you're
back to
here.
health. I was actually at the hospital yesterday, so I just wanted to come on and have this conversation. I'm definitely recovering. I'm definitely recovering. So, but thank you for your concern. I appreciate that. I don't usually sound like this, but I I think this has been a great discussion about I don't know if sex work or OnlyFans will ever stop existing, right? I don't know if that, if it's not OnlyFans, it'll be something else. Um, and I guess that's America, right? Or I guess that's the place where everybody can have the freedom to do what we have our own free will. We can do what we got to do, and there's options there for women to do what they got to do. If Camille needs money and all the other ways don't feel like they suffice for her, she has an option to make money that feels safe for her. Like she said, she can get a home, so God bless her. I can be found at Miss Black Hollywood. That's MSBLACK Hollywood on all social media platforms. Yeah, I'll let you girl.
Absolutely. Thank you, Athena.
We talked about a lot today. I want to also throw out this fun fact that the owner of Pornhub is a rabbi, a religious man, Solomon Friedman.
Yep, I heard about that. Yep.
Oh.
So it's very interesting who's in charge of the things we do in a society. Anyway, I know we discussed a lot of things and a lot of financial things. I think this segment should just remind us the importance of investing, taking care of ourselves, our own income, creating diversified income streams, creating a life, monetizing our talents. And that is what I offer to my clients and the women who sign up for my programs and coach with me. My name is Athena Gardner. I'm a CPA and a women's wealth coach. You can find me at wewealthwomen.com, at We Wealth Women on all social media platforms, and on my podcast called We Wealth Women.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I am Jade Harrell. I'm an educator, and you can find me at highblackesteem.com. I do coaching for activists and organizers, Black folks who have businesses that are interested in becoming philanthropists and who are interested in service and giving back to our community. So if you're interested in learning more about that, definitely go over there. My big takeaways, first of all, I want to apologize to Rudy again. I do apologize. I wanted to retract that statement. I got her mixed up. And it doesn't really matter really what people do in their life, honestly, because people grow. Like, I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. And people make decisions based off of the information and the knowledge and wisdom that they have in the moment, and they choose to do what they do. I'm not here to pass judgment on this topic. My main concern about platforms such as OnlyFans, Pornhub, etc., is the examples that it sets for our children, because they have access to the World Wide Web. And as an educator, I know what that looks like on a day-to-day basis when children are overly exposed to inappropriate content that is not age appropriate and that is not developmentally appropriate. And so I would urge society to make sure that we protect the sensibilities of children. So that is my main takeaway. But in terms of Camille, she's gorgeous. She's extremely talented. She's doing OnlyFans. That's her choice. if she feels comfortable and safe with it, hey, who am I to judge it? I just know that all of that content gets to be censored so that our children are not impacted by it. And that's not directed towards her, but just the industry in general. So I want to thank everybody for showing up today and coming to this panel. If you like this content, if you like the subject matter today, definitely share it. Post comments under the thread. And definitely text the word Queens to the number 87948. That way you'll be notified when we do go live on the platform. And join us here weekdays again at 1 p.m. Eastern Time at Fly Nubian Queen TV's YouTube channel. Until next time, y'all, take care, peace and Black power, all the things. Thanks, ladies, for a risque conversation. Thank you. All right.
And you have to project images so people don't try you or disrespect you out here. But what I also would like to offer is that if you do not show, and I'm speaking to both the men and the women, because I think the men have their own vulnerability issues as well. If you do not show vulnerability in instances, especially when you are not feeling the best, then you lose the opportunity for others to show you compassion and to give you the emotional nutrition that you're seeking. So I actually want to pivot back to you, Erica, about that. Do we have a vulnerability problem with Black women, but also Black men, if you want to touch on that as well? Is that an issue that we have within the community? And is that really the crux of the problems that we're facing?
I think vulnerability is some of the issue. I mean, when you have Black women, you know, when I know that there've been instances rather where I've been vulnerable, and it's like, oh, what's wrong with her? She crying? Oh, I thought you was the strong Black woman. And that title, that reference, I don't even know where that came from. And I'm more than sure it wasn't a Black woman that started it, saying the strong Black woman. I'm sure it was not a Black woman who came up with that title. Because at some point you get tired of being strong. You get tired of having to be the backbone. You get tired of having to be the one to think. You get tired of having to be the one to solve the problem. And you just, sometimes Black women, we just don't have the time to be vulnerable. We don't have the time to be vulnerable with ourselves. Being vulnerable is actually being honest and saying, you know what, I don't feel like it today. And no, it's not that I'm sick. No, I don't have a fever. No, I'm not coughing. I just don't want to. And we don't know how to do that with ourselves. We don't know how to be honest with ourselves. We can't even be vulnerable with ourselves. So until we can be vulnerable with ourselves, then we can be vulnerable with other people. And with vulnerability, you step into your power. And once you step into that power through being vulnerable, you now are able to set healthy boundaries. And that's where the give and the take, but you have to start that with yourself. I am a huge advocate for being self-aware and self-knowledge, because you cannot, sometimes we're projecting the issues onto ourselves. We are our own problem. So I'm always an advocate for no, start with you. When you start with you, you heal you, you fix you, then you can start attracting the right people that are supposed to be near you or good for you. So yeah, vulnerability, stepping to your power, creating boundaries. That is my tribe trio. Vulnerable, power, boundaries, my tribe trio.
Yes, I love that. That's probably going to be in the next book, girl. If you are joining us, we are Fly Nubian Money, and we are here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to subscribe to us by hitting that like and subscribe button, but also to texting the word Queens, that is QUEENS, to 87948. I'm Athena, and I'm joined with your co-queens today, Linda Husser and Erica Lewis, and we are discussing Black women and femininity. Now, I want to pivot the conversation to the money, okay? to the bag, okay? So I want to discuss this with you ladies. So do the sprinkle girls have a point with dating a provider man Are women saying that they want to rest in traditional roles so they don't have to take on all that masculine energy? I want to pivot this question to you first, Linda, about that. What are your thoughts on the sprinkle, sprinkle, level up girls saying that, you know what? I'm fine with the gender roles. You be the provider, man, so I can rest in my femininity as a homemaker at home.
I'm here for it. I'm here for you to go out and get what it is that makes you healthy, happy, and whole. If that means that you want someone to bring home the bacon and you fry it up, if that means that you want to be beautiful, because one thing that I have noticed about the sprinkle, sprinkle girls, they take their role very seriously. They are in shape. They look phenomenal because they understand what these men want. I believe that a lot of the women who are not part of the Sprinkle Sprinkle coalition, they don't want to do all that. They want to do them, and that's cool. That's cool. But I'm 61 years old, and if an 85-year-old man who got his stuff together has his money together, I will be sprinkling him so tough it'll just make his head spin. I'm all for it. Do you do what you need to do to become the person that you need to become? If that means you got to get your lipo on, get you a weave, get some nails, Botox, get you some boobs, plump that booty up, whatever you need to do that. Shave the bunions off so your $300,000 shoes, you don't have that imprint on the side. Handle your business. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I would be lying if I said that somebody stepped to me who had their stuff together that I'd be like, well, you know what? I just love being this life coach. And listen, I would have to tell y'all, it's been real. Baby said he don't want me doing all this coaching stuff. We on our way to France. I'll holla. Peace out.
Linda, you had me dying. You had me dying. And watch me in the background. I was doing all this stuff. I'm like, I'm a sprinkle girl. I don't even.
Erykah Badu said it best. She says, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. And that's the truth, right? I think any artist, I'm an entrepreneur and I can say the same thing. Whenever you are sharing your world or your art with somebody, it can be sensitive, right? You also talked about early music. I'm going to reset. I'm in a hot second, but you also talked about early music and it was very different. It was very positive. It was uplifting. Danette Mitchell says, when I was growing up, we had ratchet music. However, in the Black community, we kept it underground and elevated positive music. This is when we owned our own radio stations and music stores. I can remember listening to a Tupac who's going to give you a little bit of ratchet, but give you something to think about. Dear Mama or Brenda Had a Baby, KRS-One. So you have a nice mix. Today's music, it's all pop that P, look at my P, suck this, bitch that. Like, there's no love music, there's no community. Like I think it affects our relationships. I think it affects how men and women relate to each other, talk to each other. I think it affects our relationships, our ability to communicate, our ability to love. Music is so powerful and influential. Much like this conversation that we're having today about hip hop's damaging influence on Black women, right here on Fly Nubian Money, which we do every Monday through Friday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern. You can catch us here. And you can also get notified when we're live if you text the word Queens, QUEENS, to 87948. Again, that's 87948. You can also catch us on Spotify by searching Fly Nubian Money to take us on the go with you. Aisha, I want to come back and talk to you. Given your Nigerian background, can you share some cultural differences between the music scenes in Nigeria and the United States, particularly regarding what's allowed to be discussed on the airwaves and how it influences societal values? That was a mouthful. You might be a mute.
Sorry about that. That's such a great question. And just listening to Dr. Alicia talking about the mental, how it affects us mentally. And what you also just said, Dr. Linnea, about, the way it affects you and how it makes you feel. It's amazing to me that today as well, hip hop now has now crossed over where it's now also affecting the culture back home where I'm from. I just recently had a visit back home, and I came back when I was there visiting, and some young people were talking, and I couldn't believe what came out of their mouth. And I know it's because of the hip hop culture and what they were listening to. They were literally referring to the African Americans with the N word casually. I stopped them. I said, "Do you understand that this is unacceptable?" But because of what the pop culture says, so they thought it was normal to speak like that. I was mortified, and I had to correct them that please do not speak like this. It is unacceptable. Again, because the music business doesn't care. They now are spreading all over the world, especially now in Africa, where our music for us was for praise and gratitude and celebration. Now it's becoming abusive. It's becoming abusive because you're watching as they're selling these products to them and they're listening, is now becoming what now they think it's okay. So when I went and I was visiting and I heard that, I literally stopped them and corrected. I said, no, we're not going to do that here. This is not what we're about, because you think it's funny or you think that is what you watch, and as you're watching these videos, it is not who we are. So ladies, it is crossing over. And unfortunately, it's about money. At the end of the day, it's not about caring about who we are, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made by God and to be respected and loved and cherished. No, they just want to make money. They don't care who is damaged as this is happening. And but for me, I make sure that even when I go back and I tell my brothers back home and my nephews and nieces that they're not allowed to watch videos like that. Because this is not who we are. This is not how we were raised. This is not what our parents taught us. And that we have to stay true to who we are and not listen to those music, because we know it's not edifying. It doesn't add no value to your life. It only denigrates you. And now here you are calling your brothers and sisters that are from America the N-word and thinking it's normal. So it saddened me that was happening, but that is what's happening today. Again, we have to like you said, that we should make sure that it comes from us, Athena, that we should be the one making that move. We should be the one making that difference in our own homes and making sure that we talk to our children and tell them that no, this is not part of our culture. This is something else. Somebody else is selling this to us and we're buying it. And we were not going to buy it here. I'm hoping that is what we can do, as brothers and sisters in this space, that will make sure that we tell our children that no, this is not our culture. This is not how we're supposed to talk to each other or refer to each other, especially our women. An African woman, oh my goodness, she gave birth to the world. I said, you know how powerful you are. You give birth to the world. And now they're denigrating you with music by your own people, by your own boys and your own men, and think it's okay. It is not okay. It is not okay, because then you're allowing other people to look at you that way.
And what a lot of times what the youth, and we can say people, but mostly youth, don't realize is the verbiage, the language, the lifestyle, the drugs, the oversexualization. A lot of this stuff, the people who are rapping about it, they don't even do that. Some of these people come from 2-parent homes, good homes. They were like the life that they're rapping about, the image that they're portraying, they don't actually do in their real life. We're going to go to this video from Future talking about lean and the fact that he actually doesn't even use it. So let's cue that video.
Future regrets his influence on Juice WRLD, and the reason why will truly shock you. One of the first things that Juice WRLD told Future when they met up to make their 2018 record World on was that Future had influenced him to try lean. Juice WRLD told Vulture.com, "That's the first thing I told him." He was just like, wow. He kind of apologized. Future later reacted to this situation in an interview with Rolling Stone magazine, saying, quote, "When he told me that, I was like, oh what have I done? It really bothered me. It bothered me a lot. More than I thought it would bother me when he told me that. How many other 6th graders did I influence to drink lean? This really messed me up for a minute. It's all I could think about. Like, damn, what have I done? What have I done to other people?" Regardless of his habits, Juice WRLD was one of the best to ever do it. It will be remembered as such.
And so more accountability is definitely needed. More truth is definitely needed. More authenticity is definitely needed. I saw over in the chat some people were talking about, what about the parents? Why are parents letting them listen to this music? Listen, I'm only gonna speak for myself. I was young once. My mom didn't know what I was listening to. You, as a parent, you can make sure that you listen to all the appropriate things in the car. You can put on, what do they call it? Explicit types of blocks on your child's phones. You can take the TVs out your house. They still got to go to school, and their friends is listening to it. They still got to ride the bus, and their friends is listening to it. They still see YouTube. Like, it's everywhere. Athena, how has music influenced you growing up? So I think I remember you saying you're 33, so you come from a different era of music than I do. So let's do that. Tell me what you're listening to right now, and then tell me how music has influenced you.
Well, I have a very eclectic musical taste. I am from the Caribbean, so obviously reggae and dancehall is a very big influence from there. I also listen to classical music. I listen to hip hop. I listen to pop. I listen to ratchet music. I'm going to sit here and be honest on the panel. I do like some of the artists that we have in question. I do listen to Cardi B. I do listen to Megan Thee Stallion. But I think the difference for me, though, is it's just entertainment for me. And because I'm not living in that lifestyle or culture, I'm not as, I guess, susceptible to.
What are your thoughts on the influence of hip hop on Black women? And if you're a Black man in the chat, we can just make it. What are your thoughts on the influence of hip hop on Black people, right? Our conversation is Black women, but I think it can be broader than that. What do you think about it? And if you have children, do you let your children listen to hip hop today? Dr. Alicia, can you discuss the link between the societal pressures that are amplified by the hip hop culture relative to the music that we're listening to, the risk of substance abuse, over sexualization that's coming through the music? Can you address that?
Thank you, Lene. I mean, it's such a great question. I mean, we know that the glorification of these risky behaviors in hip hop, I mean, that's really what we're talking about. Like the issue with the substance abuse. I mean, it is promoted as a coping mechanism. And although I happen to teach a class on substance abuse, and 93% of Black women have no substance abuse issue. But, you know, for that 7% that do, it just makes you wonder, like, what's going into some of these, the disconnect between the reality and what you see portrayed in real life. Now, the issue that I have with these images is that this promotion of irresponsible alcohol use coupled with promiscuous behavior, I think has detrimental effects. It's promoting this idea, especially for women in their childbearing years, you know, this risk of fetal alcohol syndrome, which I think is a way more common instance than we know. It poses serious health risk for infants. And so it's not just a matter of individual well-being, it's this public health issue that needs to be addressed. And I think that women need to have access to accurate information and resources to mitigate some of these risks. And I think that this unhealthy promotion can have an effect on youth and people who consume this information. I also think that it just has an impact on your mental health, of course. You know, some of you all kind of alluded to it, Aisha, and even you, Dr. Lene, about how the music affects your mood. It affects, you know, how you interact with the world. So it's just interesting. My first introduction into like acknowledging the influence of music on your subconscious mind in particular, I want to give a special shout out to Brother Panic. He was my initial teacher in the dynamics of subconscious mind programming, and I took his classes and all of that. And since then, I've been doing my own study on this. And I just think that we are powerful individuals, like all of us. And we create our own world through the subconscious mind. And now that you know this, you can understand how powerful music is in programming ourselves. So listening to what I would consider media controlled messages, it gets internalized and we start seeing ourselves in this way, and we start acting in ways where we're just running this program. It affects how we see ourselves, how we see other people, and it's played out in our daily world. So it's a simple concept of garbage in and garbage out. You are affected by the images and the messages that you receive. And I really think that the answer is just non-participation. We just need to not participate in it and instead focus our energies on things that help us achieve our God-given goals in this world. And I think if we did that, then, media controlled, and I think the industry is contingent on attention, paying attention to it. Consumer driven images, if we just stop participate on it and start focusing on things that, give us life, things that are positive, that is a way for us to kind of address some of these issues.
I think that everyone so far has done a great job in hitting on the different and various things, right? So again, our topic today is hip hop's damaging influence on Black women. I think that it is the drugs. I think that it is over sexualization. I think that it is the body image, the image of the body, right? We're seeing a lot of the surgeries that are being done. So there's the self-image. There is just various stereotypes that are being played out through the media, through the music. And then there is the desensitizing that's happening through the music, because we're saying things, we're speaking certain lyrics because it has a good beat. Molly Percocet, we're just singing it, we're talking about it, and people don't realize that what they're saying is registering, because we know that you have the power of life and death in your tongue. So when you speak things, whether you're affirming or not affirming, that's resonating in your aura. So music has a way of desensitizing us, where the word bitch becomes cool to say. We call our friends, our sister girlfriends bitch because it's desensitized. They say it in the music. Going to get BBLs, it's natural now because somebody else has it. This person got it, so I need to have it too. Media, music, messaging, marketing comes to us through those things, and it happens to Black women, and it's happening to our youth because our youth have access to social media at a much younger age, so they're seeing it, and it happens to the best of us. Can we play that clip, the clip with Nicki Minaj talking about how and or why she got her BBL?
Or and remember, social media was just beginning when I started. Mm-hmm. So I was like everybody. I was a lot of people's guinea pig. I was one of the first people to be shitted on the internet, on social media, like non-fucking stop. Every day I would go on, and it was some new story, made up story, or bad picture, or it wasn't acceptable to have surgery at all or anything, even though, and at that time I had never had surgery. I had ass shots, which till this day I realize, even what I did, and even with me not consulting with anyone to do something like that, how insane that was. Like, it's not that you go to a doctor, a professional person. No, it's some random person.
Yeah, shorty in the Bronx.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Mary Dean Esquire here at thewallstreetlawyer.com, coming to you live on blackwallstreet.com, Fly Nubian Queen, and the Wall Street. I'm streaming everywhere today, so get in here. Drop the B1 in the chat. Shout out to Dr. Boyce Watkins for letting me go live on his platform. Let me make sure I'm streaming on the other platforms. Okay, going live there. We're going live there. Girl, go away. My cat. So get in here, drop your B1 in the chat. Let me know you're here. Why do we drop our B1? Because we put Black people first. That is our thing. We got that from Dr. Boyce Watkins. Shout out to Dr. Boyce Watkins for letting me go live on Fly Nubian Queen. We're having trouble streaming to Instagram. Oh, let me see. Check. No, it looks like Instagram is live. We got people on Instagram. Okay, okay. So I guess I can only go stream on one Instagram platform at a time. I think that's how this works. Well, anyway, hit the go. Sorry about that, y'all. Come on in here. We got some interesting things to talk about today. So much has been going on with the dollar. We got J. Trey Trevor in the house. Thank you. Thank you for dropping your B1 because we put Black people first. You know how we do here on blackwallstreet.com because Black wealth is critical to Black power. So I'll be dropping in here, dropping nuggets. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you are. Let me know where you are. Let me know what your city and your state. Gosh, everything that could go wrong this morning is going wrong. Give me 1 second. Let me get out of here. Okay, no, that's fine. All right, everything that could go wrong this morning, and which is, I guess, the great for the topic that we're going to talk about today, because the American dollar seems to be not doing what it's supposed to be doing, and everybody is ditching the dollar. We have, I think, the Russians are ditching the dollar. We have Russia's Moscow Stock Exchange has immediately suspended all trading in U.S. dollars and euros, delivering a major blow to the U.S. economy. And they are not the only ones, guys. They're not the only ones. We have Saudi Arabia ditches the U.S. dollar and will not renew the 50-year petrodollar agreement with the United States. Saudi Arabia will now sell oil in multiple currencies, including the Chinese, RMB, euros, yen, and yuan, instead of exclusively in U.S. dollars. So what does that mean for the American economy? What does that mean for the American dollars? And how can you make sure that you are prepared? How can you make sure that you are best prepared? So that is what we're going to talk about today. And one of my favorite, the guys whose post that I'm actually showing right now, I follow him, Johel Capital, and he said something very interesting. And I just really want to piggyback that. So let me read what his post was. For all those people who think the dollar will fall and America will collapse, stop it. Have you gone to these other countries? Do you trust China? Do you trust Russia? Do you trust India? Okay, go for it. Good luck to you. Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. I think you should buy 1/10 of it and call it a day. Bitcoin is the new gold. However, Bitcoin will not be used as a dollar or fiat currency. Bitcoin is the balance to fiat, a check on it. I can go way deeper into this, but it's too much to type. I get it. I was there on the trading floor, the wallstreetlawyer.com. I remember when they had a trading floor right next to the New York Stock Exchange on Wall Street. And I've been there since the very beginning. So I get what Bitcoin symbolized. We'll get into that another day. At the end of the day, just keep grinding. Just keep grinding. Build businesses. Build assets. And it doesn't really matter what we trade with it. It can be bananas. I find the people that pump Bitcoin are praying it blows up and they can be millionaire versus just putting in the work. Does this destroy or even hurt the American dollar? No. Nations will still need the dollar to function. The dollar isn't going anywhere in our lifetime. Minimum, maybe the next 30 years. But to me, that is our lifetime. Okay? The next 30 years, that is our lifetime. America isn't going anywhere. Get back to work. Build your empire. Don't listen to this BS noise. That's his take on it. I'm not so confident in the American system and the American dollar and whether or not it will sustain itself. I have, in my lifetime, I have witnessed highs and lows, depressions, recessions. I literally became the Wall Street lawyer, occupying Wall Street at the height of the Occupy Wall Street movement. So I have pretty much seen it all. And one thing I have seen and one thing I have noticed, and I want you to take this with you, is that there are many people who thrive in the depression, in the recession, in the worst of times. And there are many people who do well. Many people who thrive in the worst of times, and there are many people who suffer and do poorly in the best of times. And so one thing that I have always maintained in my persona and my business in my life is that I will never let what's going on around me in the day dictate how I show up in the world. I will not let that dictate what I think is coming for me in the form of my blessings and what God has in store for me. Because as far as I am concerned, God is bigger than all of that. All of this background noise is simply just that, background noise. So I'm a firm believer in staying tuned in and tapped in to who you are, who the God in you, and you'll always succeed. And so one of the things that I do talk about in my book, How to Build a Thriving Black Business Using the Laws of the Universe, blackwallstreet.com. You see my book here in the corner. And I've also dropped a link to the chat in the chat. If you're interested in purchasing a copy of the book on Amazon, How to Build a Thriving Black Business Using the Laws of the Universe. And it is by tuning out the noise. It is by not letting the news cycle and what's going on in the air of the day dictate how you show up in the world. Okay? As long as you are doing what you're supposed to do, as long as you are preparing, you want to prepare. You want to prepare. You want to prepare for everything that life has for you. You want to prepare in the forms of maybe setting up a will, setting up a trust, setting up your estate plan, making sure your house is in order, making sure your business is in order, separating your assets from the loan on the mortgage, the mortgage, the loan on the car, the loan on these things. Separate them from the assets so that maybe you don't lose your assets if the sugar honey iced tea hits the fan. But outside of that, put your head down and handle your business. And one of the best ways in handling your business is to make sure that you have those systems in place. Okay, there's no magic pill, or the only magic pill that I am aware of is the pill of showing up, consistency. Consistently doing what it needs to be done, consistently showing up in your business. And interestingly enough, when you go get that job, you show up every single day. You show up consistently, because if you don't get that paycheck. And so same is true if you're gonna have your own business and create the job for yourself. One thing that you have to do is you have to show up in that business every single day. You have to show up day in and day out. And I talk about those systems that you want to implement in your business. If you don't have those systems already, your legal systems, your insurance systems, your financial systems, your tax systems that are really in support of your sales systems. These are things that you should be doing every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year, every single quarter, to make sure that you are hitting your bottom line. And it's a numbers game. How many phone calls have you making? And that's the whole Wall Street of age. They sit on and they bang out the phones back when trading used to be through the phones, banging out the phones all day, so that they could hit their numbers. And so my question to you is, what are you doing day in and day out to make sure that your business is going to thrive, not just survive the pending doom, not just survive the dollar failing, not just survive these instances, but what are you doing to make sure that your business shows up and thrives, that you kill it? Because that's what you deserve. That's what you deserve. And what systems do you have in place? And if you don't know what systems you should have in place, then make sure you contact me, schedule that consultation. I dropped a link in the chat so that you can do it. We have Miss Make It Better. Thank you for your comment. I'm lucky to be the only person in the room. Lord knows I need help navigating life right now. Well, that's what I'm here for. I do consider myself to be more than just an attorney. I'm an attorney and counselor at law. And part of being that attorney and counselor at law, because there's so much overlap. I tell people all the time, entrepreneurship is the ultimate faith walk, okay? You want to talk about I got God and God got me and all this hooping and hollering that you do in the church. But can you actually pray up some bread? Can you actually feed your family for the rest of the year with 2 loaves and 5 fishes and so forth and so forth? So if you can do that, you can pray up some bread, pray up some miracle, pray up some bills being paid, and you can bring those blessings down from the heavens. Now you have truly mastered your relationship with God. And that is what I am here for. That is what I talk about, because entrepreneurship is what? It is the ultimate faith walk. It is the ultimate putting your money where your mouth is, putting your faith where your mouth is, throwing your life, your faith, and all of you into creating something from nothing. And it is truly the ultimate faith walk. So I tell people, you want to figure out how strong your faith is in God, how strong your ability to ask God for something and to actually receive what you're asking for. Start a business and quit that job. Start a business and quit that job and see how well you really know how to pray. It ain't about sounding good and flowery and getting people to shout and jump down the aisle. That's not what it's about. It's about getting what you're actually asking God for. And can you do that? And if you cannot do that, if you need some help doing that, then that is why I am here. Thank you guys for dropping that B1. Make sure you drop your B1 and hit the share and subscribe button, because we're getting into it today. We're talking about it. We're talking about the dollar not being, let's see, here it is, another one. We're talking about things are changing, but the one thing that you're guaranteed is that life will always change. Things will change. You will have days where you're up. You will have days where you're down. But it is in those down days that you truly find out who you and what you're made of. As a matter of fact, it is in those down days that you were given the nuggets, the tools to get to the top of the mountain. So I can tell you some stories. I'll tell you a story about my darkest hour. I'm going to dedicate this story to Miss Make It Better. How I actually became the wallstreetlawyer.com. On the darkest day of my life, it was the week before my 33rd birthday. And for those of you out there who are into biblical things, I call 33 your Jesus year, because it is that's the year, that's how old he was in the Bible when they took his life. And so I call it your Jesus year. I call it the year that you have your own death and rebirth. And I did. I died as Mary Dean Esquire and was born again as the wallstreetlawyer.com on my darkest hour. And what was it that caused me to die? Well, it was my sibling, my younger brother, my ace boon coon, my business partner. We were like this, y'all, like this. 2 peas in a pod. We were twins. We weren't technically twins, but by the time we became of age, he's my younger brother, but he's a man. So people considered we appeared to be the same age. And so that's just what it was. And so I got a phone call from him. It was the first time that he called me, and it began after that. The calls began and the journey began. But this was the week before my 33rd birthday. I got a phone call from him where he was under the influence of crystal meth. Yes, guys, my brother was smoking crystal meth, smoking Tina, smoking Christina, smoking crystal meth. And it was the darkest day of my life. I remember, asking God, what is going on? What are you doing? You told me to go. I came. I was living in New York at the time. At that time, I was living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. It was the height of the Occupy Wall Street movement. So I was working in the financial district, but living in Brooklyn. I just moved to New York City. And if you were a lawyer at that time, you could get that work, right? Because if you remember the Occupy Wall Street movement, at the height of the Occupy Wall Street movement, all of the banks were being sued. They were being sued by everybody because of those bad mortgages, bad loans. And so they were just being sued left and right. And so because of all of these lawsuits, if you were a lawyer in New York at that time, boy, you could get that work. And honey, I was working. I was fresh off the boat, looking for work, trying to figure out myself in New York City. So I'm working in the financial district. We were working broker hours. The stockbrokers will work dark 30 to dark 30. So that's what we as lawyers representing those brokerage firms and those big banks down there, we were also working brokerage hours, working from dark 30 to dark 30. It was doing 13-hour days with an hour and a half lunch break every single day. And so I began asking God, who am I? Because at that point, what I had known myself to be was the Wall Street. I had known myself to be the dean of law to my brother's dean of style, because we were the deans, right? Real original. I know that was our shtick back then. So as we were the deans. And so, I'd been pitching shows, starring my brother, created this show, starring my brother. We've been working together, working New York City together. And so once he called me while he was high on crystal meth, then and only then did I finally understand why he was unreliable, why he had been so unpredictable, why he was so untrustworthy, and why I could not work with him anymore. And so that's when the prayer changed for me. The prayer became, oh God, well, who am I? What am I doing? You told me to come and I came. You told me to go and I went. I'm following your lead. I'm doing what you told me to do. Who am I? Who am I? And that's when I heard, my earring just fell out my ear. And that's when I heard, you are the wallstreetlawyer.com. You are the wallstreetlawyer.com. That's when I heard it. Now, I had never asked that question before. We have to talk about why we have valleys and why we have obstacles and why we have trials and tribulations. Because up until that point, I knew who I was. I was the dean of law. I was the renegade attorney. I knew who I was. I knew who, these names that I had given myself. And so when the sugar honey iced tea hit the fan in my life, and I realized I could not be the dean of law to my brother's dean of style because he was strung out in the streets of New York City on crystal meth. Who am I? Who am I? And so that's when I started asking God, who am I? And that's when I heard him say, you are the wallstreetlawyer.com. Got the domain, got my office on Wall Street, and the rest is history. I ended up moving to the financial district, moving to Wall Street, and really embodying and becoming the wallstreetlawyer.com. My darkest day. Now, and so that's what I want you to be encouraged. Shout out to Shay Bay, who says, you go, girl. No, you go, girl. No, you go, girl. No, you go, girl. Because, we support each other over here. So I am truly my sister's keeper. And so things came to a head maybe about 3 years later. So that was 2014. 2017, I get pictures of my brother where he got jumped by 6 men in Brooklyn, thrown down a flight of stairs. A week later, after I found out that he got thrown down a flight of stairs, I literally fell down a flight of stairs. And so then I got sucked back into the drama. I got to fix my brother. We are connected. We are one. I am my brother's keeper. And so what do I do? How do I got to fix my brother. I got to fix my brother. He needs me. He needs me. And so one of my producer clients, shout out to Rick Mathis, told me that Dr. Iyanla Vanzant, who is also an attorney, was speaking at Hillside Church in Atlanta. So I booked my VIP ticket to her show. I decided that I am going to get to her show. I printed out pictures of my brother's face. This was my last attempt to try to get him some help and get him to go to rehab and clean up his life. And so I print out the picture because I said, when she see his face was beat up. He looked like Emmett Till, God forbid. And I said, when she see this picture, she's going to say, man, I got to help this girl. I'm going for shock value. So I type up the letter, print out the picture. I'm ready to go. I get to Atlanta. I walk out of the airport. I look to my right, and you will not believe who's standing next to me at the airport. It was Dr. Iyanla Vanzant. I ran into her at the airport. Didn't even have to make it to her event. Walk up to her after I picked my mouth up off the floor. Walked up to her and asked her, tell her, give her my spiel. My name is Mary. I'm the Wall Street lawyer. I came all the way to Atlanta so you can help me fix my brother's life. And when I said that, her son, Damon, said to me, the Wall Street lawyer, hey, I done heard of you before. And so I looked at him and I said, you heard of me for real, or you pulling my chain? So when I said that, Dr. Iyanla Vanzant bust out laughing. Once she bust out laughing, she said, I give him my spill again because, you know, once you get them laughing, you can get them to buy. Once you get them laughing, you got them hooked. So I got her laughing. So I give him my spill again. My name is Mary. I'm the Wall Street lawyer. I came all the way in Atlanta so you can fix my brother's life. And so you would not believe the first thing that she said to me. The first question she asked me was, why do you care so much? Shock my draws. Shock my draws. I was not expecting that. Why do you care so much? And then the next thing she said to me, and she yelled it at the top of her lungs, she yelled, let him go. Let him go. Clutch my pearls. I was not expecting that. Let him go. And she saved my life that day. I went to her to save my brother's life, and she ended up saving both of us, really, because at the end of the day, you cannot do it for him. He is a grown man. And all you women out there know, from you women raising sons and to you women that's dealing with husbands, fathers, baby fathers out there, you understand that you can't make no grown man do nothing. Nothing. Yes, I had raised him. Yes, he was my little brother, but I can't make him do nothing. And so all I was really doing was killing myself. The only thing that had happened was that not one life was being lost to drug addiction, not one, but two. 2 lives are now being lost to drug addiction, mine included, because I was getting sucked back into the drama, trying to save somebody who don't want to be saved. They don't want to be saved. Don't save them. They don't want to be saved. Yes, that was him. He did not want to be saved. And he was fighting me to save him. And so it was a very vicious cycle that I found myself in. And so she told me to let him go. And it still took me about 2 years to fully let him go. But I finally let him go. And when I tell you, my brother confirmed for me this past winter that it was in my letting him go that really caused him to hit rock bottom. Just like Dr. Iyanla Vanzant said, you're propping him up. You can't do it for him. And so until he hits rock bottom, he is not going to want to change. And you need to let him hit rock bottom. You need to let nature run its course. You need to let his life run his course. You can't save him from his own destiny. And so you so busy trying to save him, you're really just enabling his drug addiction. You are the reason why he can't clean up, because you're propping him up. You're giving him money when he needs it. He ain't buying food. He ain't paying bills. He ain't doing nothing productive. He's going to get high. And so all you can really do is walk away and let him figure himself out. And when I did that, guys, Iyanla Vanzant was right. He did clean up his act. He cleaned up his act. And I'm going to tell you what else happened. Dr. Iyanla Vanzant endorsed my book. She endorsed BlackWallStreet.com, How to Build a Thriving Black Business Using the Laws of the Universe. She slapped her name on my book. She slapped a quote on the back of my book and strengthened my testimony, and that problems are merely opportunities in disguise. That if God, because I start from the premise that God loves me truly, and that if he loves me truly, and that my angels and that my ancestors want nothing more than for me to not survive, y'all. Surviving is such a low bar. They want us to thrive. They sacrifice so that we might thrive. And so if they are allowing me to walk through the valley of the shadow of death, if they're allowing me to suffer, if they're allowing suffering to be a part of my human experience, I understand that because they love me, that it must be something here good for me. And because I am committed to that, I immediately, when the sugar honey iced tea hit the fan, I immediately start looking for my blessings. I start looking for the rainbow at the end of my storm. I immediately get into, Lord, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this problem. Thank you for this opportunity that I know you're ushering into me. And this was the only way that you could get this opportunity into my spirit. And so I count it all joy. I'm not going to sit here and go into no woe is me. I don't know how to be woe is me. I don't know how to be, why me and why, sure, I'm human. I had a moment, I cried my tears. I've cried my many shared tears because life for me ain't been no crystal stair. But I am a living testimony that it was those very things that made me. I would not be the wallstreetlawyer.com if my brother had not been addicted to crystal meth. I would not have Dr. Iyanla Vanzant's name on the back bottom of my book with a dope quote on the back of my book if Dr. Iyanla Vanzant had not, if my brother had not got thrown down a flight of stairs and I did not seek out Dr. Iyanla Vanzant to save him. It was those very things. Just like the pastors in the old Christian church. And I ain't no Christian and I ain't religious, but I speak multiple languages and I understand what they were really trying to teach. And so when they all those good old, but I was born Baptist, I was raised Baptist, and all those good old Baptists, oh, didn't he die? Didn't he die? Well, of course, they couldn't put Jesus up on the cross and he would not be the savior of this religion had it not been for him dying. And so I encourage you that your problems are always opportunities. And so, yes, the dollar might be dying. Okay. Yes, nations are getting away from using the dollar. Yes, we have had a recession. Yes, we have had a depression. Yes, we might have another one. The sugar honey iced tea looked like it might be hitting the fan pretty soon. It looked like it might, but I want you to understand that is a wonderful time for us. That is because the last will be first and the first will be last. And it might, some things need to shift. It needs to shift. But if you are steadfast in your faith in God, if you are steadfast in your faith in you, if you see the God in you and you understand that if God is the ultimate creator, you too are an ultimate creator, and you have the power and the ability to create within your world, and you take charge of that power and you create the assets, you create the businesses that creates the assets and accumulate the assets so that you can have generational wealth, because that's the power that you have. And so what I encourage you all to do and be and see, that opportunities abound. And that when the sugar honey iced tea hit the fan, that we know that that's more opportunities are being ushered in to our existence. And so that is what I want to leave with you. Make sure if you found something here that helped you, make sure you hit the share and subscribe button. Mary Dean Esquire here at the wallstreetlawyer.com. You can follow me on Instagram, The Wall Street Lawyer. You can follow me you can also follow my other business page, blackwallstreet.com, because Black wealth is critical to Black power. Miss Make It Better. I'm in tears because I know God himself led me to you in this moment. You're a blessing. You're my tribe. No, you're my tribe. No, you're my tribe. No, you're my tribe. Honey, we are here together. And that's what I love about the power of the internet. And what the power of the internet has really allowed us to do is to make these things an even playing field. There is no excuse. There's nothing holding you back. You are more powerful than you know. You have more ability than you know. And I scream that into you just as much as Dr. Iyanla Vanzant screamed that power into me and saved my life many years ago. You can do this. We can do this. You can do this. We can do this. United we stand, divided we fall. Guys, please also join my Facebook group, blackwallstreet.com, where I will be dropping nuggets in that group to help you. You can also message me in that group if you are having questions about starting your own business, if you're having questions about growing your Black-owned business, if you are having questions about creating a trust because you want to separate your assets from your liabilities, and so that creditors can't come, you want asset protection. Set yourself up, set your children up, so that we can thrive in Black power together. Shay Bay says, I see your book on Amazon. I'm buying it. Thank you for the support, sister. I am my sister's keeper. We are all we got. And I just want to encourage you guys. I have always felt called, and I always say that my practice is my pulpit. I ain't got to be in a pulpit shaking, and I ain't got to be throwing the Bible at people. The Bible ain't nothing but watered down version of African spirituality anyway. And so I want you guys to get to the truth. Cut through the noise. get what you really need. I got to put that back up because I'm in tears because I know God himself led me to you in this moment. You're a blessing. You're my tribe. And I just shout out to Miss Make It Better. Shout out. That's is making me, I feel that. I feel that. And thank you for showing up with him here with me today. Make sure you guys follow me so that we can all stay in touch, so that we can be one together, so that we can be here for one another. Shay Bay say, this is my first live and you are awesome. No, you're awesome. And so the social media will try to make us think that Black people that we have all this infighting amongst ourselves. They would try to make us feel like that we don't have the community support that other cultures have. The media, the news cycle would try to keep us in a state of division. They prop up people like Sexy Red and BBL Drizzy, which is why we're so happy that Kendrick came in and gave him all the business, because it is a new day and it is a new time. And the day that the order of the day is that the last will be first and the first will be last. And the order of the day is that what's right and what's true is the only thing that will survive and make it through in the new world. And so I encourage you. And if you need anything, make sure if you want to schedule a consultation with me, I did drop a link for my calendar in the chat. So feel free to tag that link and schedule a consultation with me to see how I can help you grow your Black-owned business, to see how I can help you separate your assets from your liabilities so that you can make sure you preserve your assets and nobody can come and get those assets should you ever become subject to a lawsuit. So we can make sure that those assets transfer to the next generation free and clear without you having to go through any more drama or trauma in trying to, probating the will, having to go through the court system and anything like that. So that is what I do. Mary Dean Esquire here at thewallstreetlawyer.com. We got Cocoa Butter, Truth You Speak, Thankful, Thankful. Thank you. Shout out to Cocoa Butter. Hope that my words feel like cocoa butter on your soul. That is why I'm here. And that is my pledge to you, is to show up. And so if I'm showing up here, sometimes we're going to show up here, do some deep dives into your business, some business nuggets. But every time I come in here, I promise you I'm going to be bringing you some nuggets because Black wealth is critical to Black power. And I want to see all of you all of us, we will all rise in power together. Absolutely. So until we meet again, I want you guys to have a wonderful and outstanding day. And again, if there was something here that helped you, please make sure you hit the share and subscribe button. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.